All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is good? What is good with everyone? Welcome to another interview segment here on We Create Music TV. I, of course, am your host, B. Vaughn, and today we have DJ Baby Blue Diamond joining us. And so we're going to sit back, we're going to learn all we can about her tonight and just have a great time. But before we jump into this interview, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, turn on notifications so you can be notified of all the great things that we're doing here at We Create Music TV. All right, so without further ado, everybody welcome DJ Baby Blue Diamond. Welcome, welcome. Good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. It's Monday, the start of the week. Well, actually, I guess yesterday would have been the start of the week, but it's good. Outside of that, it's still good, So, yeah, glad to have you on. Glad to learn more about you and what you do, and just to sit here and chop it up with you.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. So, if you wouldn't mind starting us off, how did you get started in this whole musical industry, right? This musical industry. How'd you get started in the music industry from where you were now, began, and kind of to where you are now?
Started off DJing, chopped and screwed music. I grown to love for chopped and screwed music through my siblings. That's all they played around the house, especially my brother. So that's when I fell in love with the art form of chopped and screwed music. And that was during my middle school age. And then as I got older, graduated high school, that's when I taught myself how to chop and screw music because I had asked the DJ that I used to follow how to chop and screw, if he can chop and screw a song, and he gave me a rude comment. So I was like, you know what, I teach myself. So I taught myself. So that's how I basically started DJing. And then I eventually went into DJing in clubs solely. A DJ friend of mine invited me to DJ at a club, and that's how I got started DJing in clubs and bars. As far as my radio station, I started that I want to say 2 years after me learning how to DJ. I wanted to give a platform for underground and indie artists to have their chance to shine. I love watching VH1 behind the scenes music and how artists got started, and a lot of artists who got started, they either knew someone in the music industry. So, and a lot of artists I know don't know anyone in the music industry. So it's not like I know someone I can get my foot in the door. Like Ludacris started off doing radio, and then he became a. Most people don't know how to. Most people don't have people to start them off like that. So I wanted to be the person to help them get their start with the music. So that's why I started my station, and then I wanted another platform from them to get their voice out there and their music out there. So that's why I started the magazine, and now
Okay.
we're here.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. So let's go back for a second. So chopped and screwed. What is that? What's chopped and screwed? Like, okay, now I'm not asking for me, right? Because I
Okay.
know chopped and screwed. Like I know chopped and screwed, like ESG, slanging and banging, right? That was my group back in the day. But and
Yeah.
they were all chopped and screwed. I mean, I lived in Louisiana for a couple years, so I know all about the whole chopped and screwed movement. But what really is chopped and screwed music, and what are some of the elements that make up this type of music?
Well, chopped and screwed music is more than just slowing down a song, because some people think it's just slowing it down a song, but you got to slow it down. You have to change pitch a little bit, and then you just chop the song, like I guess you can say it half. I guess that's the best way to describe it. It's kind of hard to describe it, but it is but the main part is slowing it down. That's the main part. A lot of people like to call it slow and reverb, which is another name for it, but you really chopping it up. Actually, the slow part of music started in Florida. They used to call it drag music, and then Texas chopped it up, and that's how we got chopped and screwed with DJ Screw. That's basically how I can describe
Yeah,
it.
no. That's great. Yeah, it's the first time I heard chopped and screwed. Literally, I was like, "Yo, what is this? Why is it so slow? How am I supposed to dance to this? It's so right. I mean, because like I heard
Yeah,
chopped and so I'm in Louisiana when I was stationed in the military. I'm in Louisiana, and that's when I heard chopped and screwed. And you'll hear the real fast songs come on, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden, chopped and screwed to come on. You're like, and the whole mood will just change. But it just felt different. That's how I fell in love with it, being in Louisiana and listening to groups like ESG. That was my group right there. slanging and banging, slanging and banging. Not many people know who ESG is, right? And
No.
so, or DJ Screw, and or just people like that kind of started this whole chopped and screwed movement. I had a conversation with someone a while ago, and I don't remember who it was, but we kind of talked about how music used to be regionalized. And if you were up north, back in the day, if you were up north or on the West Coast or even in the South, like here in Atlanta, you probably would have never heard of chopped and screwed music unless you
No.
lived in that area. Now, I mean, you can hear all types of music from all over the world, but back then it
Exactly.
used to be regionalized. And so I'm originally from Virginia, so I'm listening to, like hip hop from New York, East Coast type stuff. And so here I go to Louisiana and I'm like, yo, what is this? I've never heard this ever, ever heard any of this. Like MC Nero, like MC Nero was my guy, but I don't know if you know who that is, but uh,
Yeah,
yeah, it was just a whole eye-opening experience to new music that was amazing and that people had never heard of. Now you can hear Chop and Screwed everywhere, but yeah. So okay, so you started the whole. So you taught yourself how to do Chopped and Screwed, right? So how did you do that? What was that process like of teaching yourself how to chop and screw the music?
a lot of mistakes. Yeah, at first when I first started, I thought it was just a press of a button because there are like presets on a lot of DJ programs, and I thought it was that it, and I thought I had it. I was like, oh, that's all they did was press a button. Then a friend of mine, he's not really a DJ, but he knows how to chop and screw music. He's like, no, that's not it. So he gave me a song to listen to, and he told me what to do and showed me how to practice, and I practiced and until I got better. And some YouTube videos helped a little bit. So
Yeah, that's amazing because there were times when YouTube or YouTube University, right, was never
yeah,
really prevalent
a
to
thing.
provide people the education that they needed in order to be competent in this whole music industry. Now you can YouTube everything, right? And so learning how to teach yourself a skill set back then was tremendous because there was really no guidance on how to do it unless you partnered up with someone who did that particular style of music. And so,
Exactly.
right, so a lot of trial and error, a lot of mistakes, and a lot of just, seeing what works, getting feedback probably, and that kind of helped you do what you did.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So talk about your mini series, Young and the Young. I was going to say Young and the Restless, but that's not what it is. It's Young and Reckless. So
Yes.
talk about that. How did you come up with this mini series? What was the overall motivation for it? And so just talk about that. I'm interested in hearing about Young and Reckless.
Well, I got that series because it started off with I think my first one was the I want to say the ASAP Rocky one with TGE. I love listening to these new artists, but I know a lot of the new artists always get their influence from the people that came before them.
Of course.
So that's why I came with the young and reckless because they're young, but when I say reckless, I don't mean reckless as in like a bad way, but just like I don't know, reckless just seemed to fit with the title, so that's how I kind of came with it. I know my last series, the young and reckless ones, I think it was like the after school jam or something like that, and with that one, I took a lot of the new songs that sampled the old school songs, and we put them both on there. So for instance, I have Swimming Pools by Kendrick Lamar, and then I think I had Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg, or Celebration, by The Game, and then of course, the original with the Bone Thugs and Harmony. So so people can see the correlation of the new school and the old school. So I know a lot of the newer artists of the younger generation probably don't know where these samples came from. So I wanted to showcase that.
Yeah, you're right about that. Not unless they go to like whosampled.com, right?
Oh, that's my favorite site.
That's my favorite place.
I love that site.
Because I'm a producer too, right? Most people don't know that. I guess they know because if they watch any of the interviews, I always talk about it. But I produce too, and so I'm always looking on who sampled. And it's like, okay, who did this? What's the BPM of this thing though? I'm always trying to
Yeah.
find, always trying to find BPMs. But I'm always amazed on who sampled, and you can see. I mean, it's a list. You can have this, here's the original song, and it's a list of other songs, like, wow. And I always find myself intrigued to go back and listen to go, oh, that was that sample. Oh, that
Me
is
too. I
that.
love that. And then it helps me as a DJ too sometimes, so I can like mix songs together because they have like you said, similar BPMs, or they have a similar sample.
Yeah, one of the, and it's on my playlist right now. One of that kind of young and reckless blending together was somebody did a Camp Low Lucchini with Bobby Shmurda, one of his beats, and oh man, that those two together with the beat of like how it is today with Lucchini, this is it. The way they rapped, oh my gosh, that was, yeah. I love those blending of styles together. Now if they do it right,
Me
it comes
too.
out and sounds amazing. So yeah, that's good because most people kind of don't know where some of these samples and some of this music originate from. But when you really think about it, they are paying homage to those that came before, and they're always learning something from those that came before them. I mean, we always are. You learn from the people who came before you, and I'm learning from people who came before me doing what I do. Right? I'm always looking
Exactly.
at Timbaland and Max Martin and all these other mega producers that are out here. So yeah, okay. So let's go back for a moment because let's talk about where you're from. Right. So Converse, Texas. Right. So where's
Yeah.
Converse, Texas?
30 minutes from San Antonio.
Okay.
Well, I could say 30 minutes, and I could say it's right there because there's parts of Converse where it's like Converse and then San Antonio and back to Converse. So
Ah.
it's really close, but not that close. So
Okay. Okay. And so what's the music scene like? Well, or what was the music scene like growing up in Converse, and that kind of sparked your move into being a DJ?
well, in high school, I heard a lot of hip hop. We had a lot of young hip hop groups in my high school. A lot of boys, men rapping, starting rap groups. Slowly as I got older, I experienced a lot of more, the Hispanic culture. That's what mostly in San Antonio. We got a lot of Hispanics, 80%, 90%.
Mm-hmm.
That's out there. But it wasn't like the typical like Latino cumbia or Spanish hip hop. So like the Spanish people sounded just like the black people. So I didn't really get to hear the Spanish people really speak in Spanish like that, like I wanted to, until I started DJing, and then I slowly heard a little bit of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I spent 3.5 years in El Paso. So, because I was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas, and El Paso is 80-90% Hispanic. And
Yeah.
so, a lot of the radio stations that we listened to were in Spanish, even though we had hip hop, and they were still doing hip hop and all that stuff too. But yeah, it's, I guess, kind of similar environments from San Antonio to El Paso. And I've been to San Antonio a couple of times, and it does kind of have that feel. I like San Antonio. Don't let me say that. And somebody don't know from El Paso watch me, but they're like, "Oh, you like oh?" But yeah, I like and San. Just it's just a different vibe. I mean, I live where we were, and of course, it's El Paso is right next to Juarez, Mexico. I mean, literally, I could just walk right over to, and we did a ton of times, to Juarez. And yeah, it's a different environment from what San Antonio is. San Antonio gives you a different vibe and feel, and so then
Yeah.
learning, how to take that music and hip hop music and just blending those things together just gives you a great vibe and a sense of, just from a culture perspective of both genres and kind of, blending both of those together. So yeah, so growing up in Converse, I'm sure there wasn't a lot of hip hop influences, a lot of people in the music industry that wasn't there. You started off saying that is that the reason why you started the ventures that you did was because you didn't know anybody in the music industry. And I think that goes for a lot of people, is that we
Yes.
don't, or at least I can say now I do, but in the beginning you don't. And you want to get into the music industry, but how do you get your foot in the door? And so you have to create opportunities, not just for you yourself to provide a platform for others. Kind of what we do here at We Create Music TV is provide a platform for others to showcase their talents and skills and creativity. but for you doing the same thing, and that also leads you to other people who may be looking at what you're doing and then saying, hey, I see what you're doing. Let's figure out a way to partner together.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think doing those types of things helps you to bridge a gap that may be there, that you've identified, that most people may not know that that needs to be filled, but it also helps put eyes on you, because now people are looking at you going, oh man, what is she doing? Yeah, I want to partner with her because she's doing some amazing things, like this whole U3 radio magazine, right? Talk about that. Talk about, and I want to talk about each one, right? So we're going to talk about Young and Reckless, U3 radio magazine, and then we'll talk about the other ventures in just a little bit. But talk about why you went from Young and Reckless and then kind of bridge yourself into starting U3 radio magazine.
Well, I started U3 Radio first and then the magazine. U3 Radio is the Underground, Unsigned, Unknown. That's what it stands for. It's for underground and indie artists. I play their music every Tuesday and Thursdays, and I also do interviews on my show as well. And then after that, I started the magazine. And then there's this podcast slash magazine I follow called Overtime Hustling. They inspired me to start my magazine. I was featured in their magazine. I saw that. I was like, if they could do it, I could do it. I do graphics myself, so it shouldn't be that hard. So I just dove right in, just like I did my radio station, no knowledge of what I was doing, and started it. And now I'm like 19 issues in, I think. I'm not sure off the top of my head. So, and I love it because it gives me a chance, like I said, to showcase indie and underground artists and businesses. I like the fact that I'm more focused on the artists and not just ad space, because I know a lot of magazines, you get less articles and mostly ads. And I want people to get a lot of articles, ads. And also I started my own underground list too, just like XXL has theirs, but mine's a little more different. I have a panel that votes people in based on your talent, not based on who you are and who you know. So
wow. And I like that because most of the industry is about who you know, who
yes,
favoritism at times, right? I'll just be,
yes,
that's people know
I don't
me.
even get to vote. So that's how people always let people know, because people sometimes when they don't make the list, they think it's biased, but I let them know I don't even get to vote. So it's people that some people that tune into my station, and some people don't get a chance to tune in as much as they can, but I know they have a good ear for music. So I have a group of 7 panel closed list, pick the people in there and they vote.
Wow. So how many people can get into that list?
Anybody can submit. Every year I always put a post out on my Instagram, Facebook, all my social media. I do it around March. So I start about February and issue comes out in March, and I let people know if you want to submit your name to the underground list, you just give me your name, a picture of you, and 2 YouTube links, because everybody has YouTube. That's why I do YouTube. It's easier for everyone to listen to. And that's it. I don't let people know where you're from, your age, none of that. Just your picture, your name, and 2 links.
Wow, okay. Yeah, and I'm sure that there are people checking that out. And
Yeah.
I love the whole, I was about to call it a jury, but it's a board of people who are voting on who gets in and who doesn't. And I'm sure there has to be some type of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not anonymity. It's, I can't think of the right word I'm looking for, but where people don't get into their feelings and say, oh, I like this person, but you don't like that person. It's like, it's a democratic voting system.
It is. We have a criteria that we all agreed on. So we use the same criteria every year, and they just listen to the music and they just vote yes, no, and that's it. Very simple underneath the post.
So
then I add up all the votes and I pick the top. Usually I pick about 12 people. I try to stick to around 11, 12, 13 at the most. And then we have people that are close. So this year I did it. Usually I don't, but this year I decided to put the names that were close, either miss it by 1 vote or 2 vote. So just let them know, hey, you're close, you're almost there, keep it up, don't give up, type thing.
So can we expand upon that just a little more? I'm interested. I like that concept. So, I mean, I don't know if you can share what the criteria is, or maybe one or 2 pieces of criteria of what they are.
Let me look it up. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm gonna look it up. I got you. I'm gonna tell you the criteria.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, I guess it gives people a level playing field to say, if we know what the criteria is, then we know what we can work on in order to make, to make that list. If we
Yes.
don't make
So
it,
so the criteria we have is vocal cadence. Can they stay on beat? Are they original or do they blindly follow fads, current gimmicks? And is that flow
ain't
clear?
nobody
And
making that.
also another one that's not really good is can they can we see them being versatile as in we could hear them doing maybe like a
Mm,
commercial in the future. So that's our
okay.
main criteria that we go off of. We came to it as a consensus. Like I said, most of the people that are in the voting do something with music. So either a beat maker, they do
Mm,
graphics, they deal with people that do music. One is a gamer, but he plays my radio station all the time because with Twitch they always doing copyright
I
issues. You can't play
know.
mainstream music, so what can you play? Underground indie music. So he could play my radio station. So he knows some of the artists that we submit and some of the artists they don't know. So it makes it easier to do the vote. And I like the fact that these people can, even if they know the artist, they can take themselves out saying, oh, because I know the artist, they automatically going to get picked. No,
Right.
let me listen to their music. And I always tell artists to submit a song that's kind of old and then a newer song so we can also see your growth too. We
Mm,
want an artist that's constantly growing and not just staying the same.
okay. Yeah, I think that's important, is so you can see if there's a growth and development within a particular artist. Where they started off and where they kind of are now. But I love pieces of the criteria that talks about vocal cadence. Can they stay on beat? Because a lot of time people can't really stay on
No,
beat. So
they
you're not making the cut. And then when you say, and I think you said originality, but I'm not sure if it was originality that was the
yes.
actual.
Yes,
And
if you're
I,
not following the
yeah,
fad or
following
what's
fads and trends, and I was like, yeah, a lot of people ain't gonna make the list. But
going.
anyway, I didn't
Yeah,
say
there's a
that.
lot of artists too. I submit a lot of artists too. I make my list every year and submit artists, and because sometimes people don't get to see my post, so I submit artists, and I have people submit themselves. And there's some
Mm,
artists who I think was gonna make it, don't make it, and there's like two people in my voting panel that love that old school boom bap.
hmm.
Who they hear like the trap beat, they're like automatically thinking in their head, no, but they give it a chance, and then a lot of people who I think are not gonna make it make it. So it
Oh,
just
okay.
surprises that they do open up their mindset to
Well,
more
that's good.
music than just do that.
Yeah, that's good that they are objective.
Yeah.
They have to be objective because, I know a person that listened totally nothing but boom bap, and as soon as he hear a trap beat, he be like, nope, nope, out,
I
gotta
have two
go.
listeners every time. That's how they
Yeah,
are. So that's why I put them in there so they
yeah.
can, you know, open up the ears to more music and to the fact that they love
Hmm.
that old school hip hop too. It gives them a sense to, okay, that's old school. This is new school. It's something different.
That's right.
So you have a
Yeah,
variety of people.
yeah. So again, can you tell us how they can submit for that? What's the process?
Yes. So if you follow me on all my social media, U3 Radio on everything, u3radio.com, around February is when I'm going to make a post saying to submit your music. So you just submit your picture, your name, and two YouTube links to u3radio at gmail.com around February. So just watch out for me to make that post. You can submit your music.
All right, yeah, y'all look out for that. That sounds awesome. I love that whole process. I love it's just a way for indie underground artists to have an avenue and a platform to put themselves in a place where people are looking. Because a lot of times it's not. That's the thing. A lot of times they don't have those avenues. And I love when people like yourself create those platforms that allow people to do that. That's just, yeah. I mean, because when you
Thank
think
you.
about it, yeah, when you think about it, most things are catered to people who have some type of notoriety or who are famous. And so,
Exactly.
you know, and that's what people go look for, and that's where all the attention goes. And a lot of indie artists are just as amazing as some of the big name artists, and I'll even dare to say sometimes they're even better. But
Yes.
they just
I
they
agree.
just don't get it. All right, so let's talk about uh, opening up for Snow, the product, and doing live shows and doing those things and being on stage in front of the whole crowd. So talk about that experience. How did you even get the chance to open up for Snow, the product?
That was my first big show. I was really nervous. An artist I know by the name of High Strong down here in San Antonio, he was opening for Snow the Product, and you had to bring your own DJ. So I was a DJ at the time, and he said, "Come out, I need a DJ." So I was like, "Sure." I came out, rocked the stage with them, and it was very dope. And I think they like me not just because I'm a female. I think that was one main thing, but another reason is because I actually, was dancing with the audience and the crowd. A lot of DJs, they just press play and just let the artist perform. But you got to walk with the audience. You got to walk with the artist. You got to dance with them. You got to know the words. You got to be energetic, hype with it. So they really liked that I brought the energy. I wasn't just standing there.
Yeah, I mean, because people are looking at the DJ. I mean, they're the DJ, right? And back
Exactly.
way back in the day, the DJ was it. The DJ was the show. The DJ is the one who, did everything. There was no MC. There was no rap. Back in the day it was MCs. Now today is less MCs. But but the DJ was the show, and so the DJ had to bring it because that was the person that was keeping everybody going. So it's good to hear that you're exuding that energy on stage and getting involved with people, because a lot of times you go to shows today, that ain't happening. The DJ's not dancing, interacting with the audience. The DJ's just like, all right, press the button. Let me sit back, relax. Oh, I got to scratch. Just press the button. Let it automatically scratch itself. Like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Right? It takes all the fun out of it. So. Yeah, so of course, being nervous, I'm sure it was a huge festival, huge event that was taking place, and dealing just with your own individual nerves. But no, it sounds like it went well because you were out there dancing and partying and having a good old time. Yeah. And so doing that led to some other things, right? So I know one of the things that I read, and of course I know this particular individual, which is Derek. The CEO of Loud Fest. To give a shout out to the homie Derek down in Houston. But he was just here in Atlanta not too long ago, and we didn't even link up. But that's how I met him. I met him at a artist showcase in Houston. Oh man, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I think 5 years ago, because one of the artists I was working with, Ashton, was performing down there with Derek at the live thing. And Derek asked me if I wanted to be a sponsor. This is when I first started We Create Music TV. And he asked me if I wanted to be a sponsor. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And so I was one of the sponsors for quote unquote Loudfest at the time, because it wasn't Loudfest like that at the time when he first started it. But so talk about how you got involved with Derek and getting involved with Loudfest.
It was last year, Loudfest last year. COVID had hit, so they really didn't know if they were going to have Loudfest or not. So that was a major thing. They were trying to navigate that. But they decided to have Loudfest anyway, which was good. And then I was the only San Antonio media coming down to Loudfest that year. So he was very impressed. Not only that, and the fact that I did a lot for the underground and indie scene. So we linked up. I don't know if this lady is his manager, publicist. One of the ladies that was helping out with Loudfest linked me up with him and set up the interview. So that's how I got to interview him and talked about the Loudfest and how he got started. I didn't get to make it that year. Like I said, COVID was high. I had plans to make it, but I work at a school, so I didn't want to chance it. So I didn't get a chance to go. But hopefully I can go this year. Opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that'll be dope. I need to actually make it down to the Loudfest now than what it was when he first started. So that's going to be dope. So maybe we can link up down there. And it'd be good to see him too. I haven't seen him since, oh my gosh, since then in person. So that was some years ago. And of course that led you to interviewing him and interviewing Lil Flip, who he manages. And so, right. And so now this is how it works, right? And so you're doing things, you of course are in Converse, San Antonio, but you travel. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna travel to Houston to do what needs to be. I'm gonna do what needs to be done. And that's what people don't realize. That's a gem. You have got to travel places. You have got people. You have got to travel places. You've got to go meet people. That is how you build relationships with people. It's cool to build relationships. This is kind of like my pep talk. It's cool to build relationships with people on social media, but you got to have that interaction with people. Like, go to some of these events, link up with people, because they see you. Oh, cool. You know what? Yeah, come over here. Oh, they see you again. Hey, I remember you. You was at the, you know what? Come over here with me. We're going to go. And it just builds that relationship with people. And I love that. And you got to do what you got to do. You got to get out there and you got to meet people, because it does lead to opportunities. And a lot of people sometimes don't realize that. Yeah. So you did tons of mixtapes. Oh, wait, hold up. We'll get to that. We'll get to the mixtapes in a moment. Right. So as you were doing and working and building your own brand, what were some of your own major challenges and experiences that you face? And how did you overcome some of those, right? Because, I mean, when you face it, we all have major challenges that we all have to overcome. So what were some of those for yours?
I think my main challenge was the support. I wasn't in the beginning. I wasn't getting a lot of support, and I thought people was going to support me. I was going to give up a couple times. I almost gave up a couple times, but I kept going on. When I had the core people who support me, kept telling me to keep going, don't do it, we miss you. Especially when the pandemic first hit. The pandemic first hit, I had stopped doing my radio show, stopped doing interviews, giving it a break. I didn't think I was going to come back, and then artists kept hitting me up. Are you doing interviews? When are you coming back? So that's what made me want to come back and continue to do my interviews and my station and my magazine. So I took a little break, and then I brought all that back. So
yeah, sometimes you have to take a break to reanalyze what it is that you really want to do. What is it that you really want to accomplish? And I know a lot of times people during that phase, they just give up. They go do something else. Because when you face it, this music industry is a tough industry to be in. You know, there's not a lot of this. Here you go. Take this. Do this. Right? There's not a lot of handouts that people give you. There's not a lot of opportunities for you to kind of be on that type of platform, right? And so you have to figure out how to reanalyze yourself and reanalyze your brand, and to say, okay, it is something I continuously want to do. So I'm glad you didn't give up, because now we wouldn't have some of those things in place that artists now have opportunity to take advantage of today. And I know a lot of people, I mean, just imagine how many people probably out there wanted to do something within music, had high hopes, had dreams, but they gave up along the way. And now whatever they were going to create, whatever message they were going to deliver, we would never hear it, because they gave up, you know. And it's a shame. It is a shame. There were times when I wanted to give up. Yeah, there were times when I wanted to give up. Oh gosh. So stuff is trying to just get people to be on board with what you do. That's tough. People want to buy in. People, I find it so discouraging at times that people will easily gravitate towards a famous artist and provide support for a famous artist. But when it comes to people in their own local circles, that's it. No, it tooth and nail. Yeah. You gotta tooth and nail. So I think there's platforms like what you provide that looks at those individuals at whatever level they may be and gives them a platform and a voice. And I'm so glad you didn't give up. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So glad you didn't give up. You know, so like I said, we all face challenges, and you know, having a strong support system is something that people truly need. So what did that look like for you, right? What did that look like for you from a support perspective, as far as helping you to keep going and stay motivated and stay encouraged in your own musical walk?
One was the encouraging words. That's always good to have. I had a lot of people give me encouraging words, like telling me not to give up, keep going. And also when the good artists, not a good artist, but when dope artists send me music, when dope artists send me music to play, that's another motivation. Because that's when I hear something nice or hear something that catches my eye, and I'm like, you know what, someone else needs to hear this, not just me. So that's another
Yeah,
motivator.
yeah, yeah. We all need that. We all have to have some type of motivation. There's a reason why we wake up and doing what we do every single day. And I think, as you said, you have a full-time regular job.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Right. So that makes it even tougher when you have a full-time regular job, and then you still come home and you then have to work on, your quote unquote real job, I guess,
Yes.
and kind of build that to where you want it to be. So one day it'll just maybe overtake your regular job, and then you can just live off of that and start making money off of that. So yes. So let's get into those mixtapes. Mixtapes. So look at this. It says, I'm gonna read this. She has also hosted 3 mixtapes and released over 20 chopped and screwed mixtapes. Over 20 chopped and screwed mixtapes. So let's talk about that process, right? So of course, the process of hosting a mixtape, because I don't know if I think I've met one person that actually hosts a mixtape, and then creating your own mixtapes and putting those out. So what was that process like for you? What was the decision behind doing that, and what was that process like?
Put out the mixtapes is always to me. I always put out songs that I love to listen to. That's how I pick which songs to chop and screw. These were chopped and screw mixtapes. So I would listen to a song, and then if I love it or I want to know what it sounds like chopped and screwed, I would chop and screw it myself, especially if I can find it. If no one has chopped and screwed it yet, or I don't like their version, I'll do it myself. And I'll just then I'll make it into a compilation, put on a mixtape. I have a couple R&B mixtapes, of course, the Younger Reckless series. I also have some hip hop series. A lot of my series I collab with a lot of DJs. I love collabing with DJs because I feel like my skill should not be the only skill showcase, but also other skills can be showcased too. So I love to collab with other DJs and show their skills and how they do what they do just like I do. And that's how I've networked with a lot of DJs and met a lot of
That's
new
right.
people doing music. So.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I see. Like I said, that's an avenue that most people won't do. It's like, okay, I'm gonna put out a mixtape, but I'm gonna do it. And it's like, no, let me find some other talent that can be on here as well. And it helps to build those relationships. And because one of them DJs may be like, hey, you know what? I'm not really feeling well today, but I got this show that I'm supposed to do for Kendrick Lamar. He needs a DJ. Can you step in for me? Right? And it just leads to opportunities. And you can't have those
Exactly.
opportunities if you just want to be on a one-man island by yourself, which is why I like collaborating
Exactly.
with other people. Yeah, because you never know. One day that stuff happens like that. I remember I have a friend back in St. Louis where I used to live. That's how he got one of his major gigs, is that he was friends with another guitar player, and the guitar player got sick, and it was supposed to fill in for, I think, Jill Scott. And he was like, I can't make it, but I need somebody. Can you go? And it was like, yeah, I'm there. And he went, and now he's one of the people. But that's how it
Nice.
starts. That's how it starts, right? So, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. I don't think people realize that. So, so what are you into now? What are you currently doing today with your DJ career, and where are you looking to go into the future with it?
I still DJ in bars and clubs here and there, depending on which promoter books me. I want to do more concerts, more private parties type events. With the radio stuff, I'm still doing the radio stuff, of course, playing the music, doing the interviews, still doing the magazine. I have an issue coming out this month, end of this month, beginning August, is to my Latino edition. So I just want to let you know, 'cause I do play more than just. Most people just assume I just play hip hop and R&B, but I do play Latin music. I play pop. I do play Christian music. I used to have a Christian show, every second and fourth Sunday. But then the Christian artist was like, just put me with the regular artists. So I play it all. Because I knew to separate us, so I play it all. And I think I'm trying to bring back my U3 mixtapes. I had did 3 U3 mixtapes, 2 regular editions and 1 Christian edition. So I'm bringing that back. I'm bringing back my worldwide ciphers where I get a cipher beat uploaded to SoundCloud. Any artist can download it, spit to it, upload it. We pick the best 4 verses. We put it together on the beat, and we have our cipher. I'm trying to bring back my hot 16s where people used to call into the radio station, spit 16 bars a cappella just for fun. Sometimes we give out prizes. So there's a lot of stuff that I used to do that I'm trying to bring back slowly.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, that's dope. You know, it's so funny. It's so funny that the Christian artists were like, you know what? No, just put me with everybody else. Just put me with the regular, the regular artists. But
Yes, there's one Christian artist. He goes by the name of Wad Redeem. I play him from St. Louis. He's a very dope
yeah,
artist, and he can outbar any regular artist any day. And he's a Christian artist.
look, look, there's
He
a
got
lot.
bars for days.
So, I mean, that's how I got introduced into music, right? I know a lot of people don't know that. I'm a believer. So I got started in, oh, I'm not even gonna say when I got started in music, but it's 2021, right? I mean, I've been doing music since I was a little kid, right? Whether it was
Yeah.
singing or, you know, doing stage plays and stuff like that. But yeah, so I can't say I grew up in an environment, but I got into the music industry around a lot of Christian hip hop artists. I mean, I lived in St. Louis. St.
Yeah.
Louis was one of the meccas for Christian hip hop. I mean, I could
I
rattle
know at
off,
least 3 Christian hip hop artists from there.
yeah, I could rattle off like names just out of St. Louis that make up the majority of the Christian hip hop genre. And there was, and they're gonna kill me for saying this, but it's okay. It's okay though, y'all. Whatever, it is what it is. But for the longest time, there was a huge separation.
Yeah.
Like no, we will not be doing anything with any secular people. No. And now it's just funny to hear. It's like, no, just put me in with the regular, the regular artists. Just put me in with everybody else. You know, and I
Yes.
get it. I get it. But yeah, I remember there was a huge, oh gosh, huge separation. And yeah, yeah. And I know, like I said, I know many Christian artists from St. Louis, and because that's where I lived for the past 10 years before I moved to Atlanta. But yeah, that is so. But I hope those things come back, so people can have those other avenues to showcase their talent. And once again, that platform that's what I've learned. You never know who's looking at what you're doing. So if you
Yes.
stay focused and do what you do, you never know who's looking in and going, oh, I see what you're doing. Oh, I mean, I get text out of or DMs out of nowhere. Hey, I love what you're doing with your show. Keep it up. I'm like, where'd that come from? I don't even know
Exactly.
you. Oh, you watch it? Oh, that's what's up. Appreciate that. Hey, I love what you're doing. I like
That
the
too.
platform you
You
have. I was
watch
like,
it.
oh, okay. Well, thank you. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how kind of like yourself, kind of like a couple of guests that I have is out of nowhere. It's like, hey, I was following you and I saw what you were doing. I wanted to sign up for an interview. Let's oh, you did. Oh wow. I appreciate that. You just never know who is actually peering in and looking at what you are doing. Yes, I think that's great. But yeah, I just think the whole Christian hip hop thing that's funny. We can talk offline. We can talk offline more about that. Oh gosh, yes. So, you know, what advice would you give anybody trying to get into the world of music, the world of DJing? What would you tell them? What would be like your top 2 to 3 biggest pieces of advice for anybody getting into this industry?
One is just go for it, because that's what I did. I didn't know anything about broadcasting, music, magazines. I just went for it. Just go for it. You might make some mistakes along the way. I know my first episode of my radio station bombed, but I learned from it, moved on, and now I'm here. Another one is feel free to don't be afraid to learn. I'm always on YouTube learning new stuff when it comes to graphics, music, programs, and ask people. If I see someone using a program that's really dope, feel free to ask them. The most they can say is either, "Nah, I'm not going to give you my information," or "Yeah, I will." So, network with people, and don't be afraid to talk to the DJ. I know a lot of artists are always scared because they see DJ, they just assume, "Oh, I gotta pay to get my music played." Some DJs are like that. Most DJs aren't. Most DJs are just like, here's my email, send it. So don't be afraid to talk to DJs or network with them. Even if they don't say just send it, they'll tell you ways to get your music out there. And I think that's it. I think that's my top advice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do think people are afraid to talk to the DJs because, there used to be historically the perceptive that you had to pay the DJ, one, and then two, the DJs would just shut you down. Right? They were like, because back then that was, I say back then just because I'm just older, but
no, it's true.
but it's true, right? So back then, the DJs pretty much ran everything. You wanted to know if your song was popping, give it to the DJ at the club. Let the DJ throw it on and see what everybody do. If everybody loves it in the club, they're gonna love it everywhere else. And that was true. But there was the perception that you had to pay the DJ, and if you didn't pay the DJ, you wasn't gonna get your stuff played. And I've heard many DJs, I don't want money. Here's my information. If your song is dope, I'll play it. And there's protocol. Right? There's protocol. You can't just run up, hey, yo, DJ, play my stuff, man. I'm the hottest dude in the city. And the DJ's like, really though? Are you really the hottest dude in the city? Let's find out.
Yeah. Or sometimes a lot of people don't realize that, DJs are doing a lot of stuff when they're DJing an event. They're not just there to press and play. We're trying to get music together. We're trying to get show sets together. If artists are performing, getting our next song for the mix. So you can't just sit there and have a whole conversation with us. And then there's music blasting in our ear. We can barely hear you. You're trying to tell us about your new project that's out. We can't hear you. So the best thing to do is wait till after the show. Come up to us, hey, how can I get my music played? Or what's your email address? Not during the show, but we can.
Not during the show. Because DJs are like engineers. DJs, the DJs are like the engineers. And if I tell artists, if you want to get your song or producers, if you want to get your song to major artists, go through the engineers. Go through the engineers. Same thing. Go through the producers, because the producers are super connected with each other. I mean, they have DJ coalitions all over the globe, and DJs are super connected with each other, and they know a lot of people. DJs find themselves knowing a lot of people, and that is a great avenue for marketing your brand as an artist, as a producer. It's those two avenues, DJs and audio engineers. Yes, those are the biggest ones. Yes, man. So it's been good. I do want to ask about your podcast though. Let's talk about that. The Well You Asked podcast. Yes. I gotta make sure I say it right. Well You Asked podcast. What is that about? What do you do on?
So Well You Asked started with me. It started with an artist who invited me to join him, and it didn't work out with us because he wasn't. People don't realize that radio podcasting is a lot of work. He thought it would be easy. It didn't work out, so we left it alone for a year. And then I kept getting these likes on the like page on Facebook. I'm like, we haven't been live in a year, and you get like 1 like here, 2 likes here. So I was like, maybe that's a sign for you to be back. I brought it back up. I was looking for a co-host for another podcast that I'm co-hosting on. And 2 guys inboxed me. I knew one of them, but I didn't know the other one. But they were married, so they couldn't do the other podcast. So I was like, you know what? I have a podcast that might be perfect for you guys. We had a Zoom meeting before we launched it, and they meshed well. They clicked automatically. So I was like, this is it. These are the 2 guys that's going to work out perfectly. And it did. And the fact that I'm not just doing all the work really helped. People just assume because I'm a graphic designer, I do all the work. Yes, I do all the graphics, but I send it to them. They post, they will promote, they help me find guests and everything else. So it's not just me doing everything. So the fact that I had help really makes the load lighter on me, so it helps. And one used to have his own podcast too, so he knew a little bit about podcasting. Okay. And the fact that they're all married with kids brings another perspective to our podcast. Our podcast called Well You Ask, because the whole purpose is Well You Ask. Like, you ask us a question or you give us a topic and we will talk about it. No matter how crazy it is or how small you think it is. We didn't got topics on relationships, from the Black community to everything. And if people don't ask us the questions, we have our own topics that we like to talk about. One of our hosts, he talked about his past, how he was sexually abused. And, that helped a lot of people to come out to say, hey, this happened to me. So we talk about everything. and we do play games. So it's not just all serious topics. We play games on there. We eat food. We promote Black businesses, other businesses that support us. So we do a
And
lot
that's
on
awesome.
our show.
Yeah, that's awesome. You got a lot of stuff that you're involved in and that you're doing, and you still work a full-time job. That's,
Yes.
hustle. That's the hustle in you, and I like that. I like that. That's a lot of people need to have that same type of hustle in order to achieve whatever they need to really achieve. So yeah, I know how difficult it can be when you're doing everything by yourself. I know how everything is when you're doing everything by yourself.
Yes.
People out there watching this interview, I know, because I got to do. I'm everything by myself. The graphic designer, the host. I got to create. Oh God, I got to do everything. I edit the videos. I
Yes.
got to color all. I got to do everything, right? So, and I want to start a podcast. That's one of the one things I want to do. I want to start a podcast, and I want some guests. I mean, well, I gotta have guests, but I want some hosts. But yeah, it's
Yes, it's
maybe I.
hard to find hosts that not only can you trust can put it in work, because a lot of
But
hosts don't realize that it's a lot of work doing podcasts. It's not
that's what it
just
is.
showing up to the podcast. You have to promote. You have to share. You have to, like you say, get the guests.
Yes.
It's more than just showing up, and you have to be interactive with the podcast too. You can't just sit there. You got to
Right.
give your input. You got to talk. You can't just be the shy one of the group.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, I had put up on Instagram. I was like, yo, I'm redesigning the show. I want to start a podcast, and I'm looking for some podcast co-hosts. And I put up these podcast qualifications, and my wife was like, wait a minute, you you have to pay people. If this is the qualifications you want, you're gonna have to pay somebody because you asking a lot. They what they gotta have their own camera? Like, oh no, you asking way too because it's a video podcast, kind of just like this, and it's
yes,
and it's like
yes,
most people got a camera on their laptop. Like,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
get a good camera. But yeah, I
That's
understand.
how we started. Season one, we started doing video because, like I said, COVID was hitting, and we didn't want to be around each other. And then season two, now we're face to face, us three, so it makes it
Are
easier
you
now that we're
are you
face to
still
face.
video? Are you still doing the video part with it?
Yes, we still go live
Yes.
via
Yeah.
Facebook and YouTube, but we're all in the same room now, so it makes it
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Because a lot of people consume video, and they want that video. And so anybody out there
Yeah.
watching, you want to be hit me up if you're interested. It's work. Oh gosh, it's work. But
It's
if you're
work.
interested, yo, let me know. I'm kind of looking for some co-hosts with your boy. So, man, DJ Baby Blue Diamond. We didn't even talk about how you got your name. Let's talk about that before we wrap up. How did you get your name, DJ Baby Blue Diamond?
That's very funny because I don't have like a sentimental story. I just needed a YouTube name at the time. And baby girl was taken. All the baby girls, anyway, you spell it with the I's, with the
Oh yeah,
U's. It
Baby
was
Girl
taken.
taken.
That's when YouTube first started. I kept putting off. I was like, I don't need a YouTube. I don't need a YouTube. I'm not gonna sign up for YouTube. I was trying to put it off, and then I finally signed up for YouTube because those videos you can't like videos or share video or save videos until you create an
That's
account.
right.
All the baby girls was taken. One of the summer camps I worked at, a student of mine had made a picture that just said the word diamond on it with some dice on it. I don't know why they did that. They just made a picture for me. I kept it. I had it on my wall for the longest. And my favorite color was baby blue. I put it together, and no one had took that name. So I was like, oh, I got a YouTube name. So for the longest, I just needed it for YouTube. And then when I started DJing, I was like, I need a DJ name. I was like, oh, okay, my YouTube name.
There
So
you go. DJ
no
Baby Blue
creative
Diamond.
story.
She's like, no creative story. I just needed the name for YouTube, and
Exactly.
that's what it was. That's how it happened. Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be, any weird story. It was like one day, I was dreaming and all of a sudden a diamond fell out of the sky and it was blue. Like, nah, it's, it could just be, because you hear some of those sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Crazy stories of how they, like the old name I used to be known by, but that's a different story for a different time. Oh, wow. So let's talk about where people can find you. How can they get in contact with you? How can they connect with you so that they can take advantage of all the wonderful things that you are currently doing?
U3radio.com. You can find everything on there. You can find my U3 radio stuff. You can find my Purple World radio station, which is my Chopped and Screwed radio station. You can find my mixtapes and all the music from the artists I played, music videos, live performances, promotion opportunities, and the magazine at U3 Radio on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and that's where I post everything that's going on with U3. Well, You Asked podcast. It's on all social media platforms too, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram and Facebook. We're live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for the Where You Ask podcast. U3 Radio live Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And my interviews on U3 Radio varies. It all depends. So you just got to watch out when I make a post or when we have an interview. Like I have an interview today, right after my interview. So I feel busy.
Hey, that's how you do it though. That's how you do it. That's
Yes.
awesome. That's awesome. And I'll have everything linked in all of your social media linked in the description of this video as well, so that they can just click on it and go right to the radio station, your Instagram page, Facebook, whatever it may be. But wow, DJ Baby Blue Diamond, it has been a privilege having you on today and getting to know you and learning more about what you are doing. And now I can say, hey, I know DJ Baby Blue Diamond. She's doing all these things, so check it out. So when you start posting stuff up about being on the list, and hey, y'all need to do this.
Yeah,
she's doing some great stuff. Check it out, right? So some of that, cross promoting of what we do. So yeah. So once again, it has been a pleasure having you on. Stick around for just one moment while I close us out, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, DJ Baby Blue Diamond. Like I said, I love when people have just that hustle in them and that drive to just provide platforms for other people. They're not selfish. They don't live in that bubble of it's just me. I want to provide a service to other people. Kind of what we do here at We Create Music TV, but I love what she's doing, and I love how she's providing that platform for indie and underground artists. And if you are an indie and underground artist, you should be connecting with her and what she's doing. Make sure you do that. Once again, everything's going to be linked in the description so that you can check it out. But once again, thank you very much for joining us here on We Create Music TV. Make sure to like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Right now, we're in this race to 1,000 subscribers by the 31st. Help us out. Right now, we're sitting at 831. So get us to 1,000 by Friday, Saturday, something like that. So we're in crunch time right now. So we're gonna be pushing hard for our 1,000 subscribers. And maybe our 1,000 subscriber, maybe he or she may get something crazy. You don't know yet, right? So be that 1,000 subscriber and see what happens. But once again, you can check out all of our interview segments every Monday and every Thursday night here on We Create Music TV. And of course, you can check out all the available content that we have on our YouTube channel. Also on our website, wecreatemusic.tv. We have a lot of stuff that's up there as well. But appreciate you tuning in, and have a great, whatever it may be, whenever you're watching this particular video. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.